So let's look at the for loop. So the for loop is very, very similar to the while loop. It's just that we typically use for when we know how many times the loop's going to run, or when we know it's going to run over a certain set of values. While is a bit more indeterminate because we can use that for conditions. Something, it's running while some condition is true. For, it's usually for a load of values that we know how many of them there are. So basically the syntax is, for some sequence of values, execute this code. And just like the while loop, the indented code, which here it's one line, but it could be many lines of code, is executed repeatedly for each value in the sequence. So you might have a sequence that counts up from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or you might have a sequence of, I don't know, some sort of names or something like that. Okay, again, there's a page on W3 Schools to look at to find out a bit more about that. Let's have a look at an example. So we're going to produce exactly the same output as the previous one, 4 stars, but in this case, we use the counter. For counter in range 4, output plus equals star. So actually you'll see this is a shorter, the code is a bit shorter and a bit neater than the while loop, because in this case we know how many stars we want. We want 4 of them. And so this just counts up for values in the range 4. So range is a thing that will give us a set of values that count up. We'll see that in a minute. And that number just determines the number of stars. So if I change that to 400, it will be 400 stars. Okay, let's talk about the range function then. What does that do? So many Python for loops use this range function to determine the sequence of values. And basically range just gives you a list of numbers. So if I use range n for some number n, I get the sequence of values 0. So it always starts at 0, goes 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, up to, but not including n. Okay, so if I ask for 4, the values I get are 0, 1, 2, and 3. Okay, a bit confusing, but you'll find out why that is when we look at the next topic, lists. So we have range gives me a set of values. As I say, they start at 0 and they go up to, but not include the number that we've asked them for. So, for example, range 4 produces the sequence 0, 1, 2, 3. Range 6 gives us 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And range 2 gives us 0, 1. So, and if you want to check what it's producing, just print them out. Okay, this example for x in range 10, print x. Okay, let's run that. Control-Shift-F10, remember, to run a program. And you can see it prints out 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then it prints out the word finished. Okay, so range is a very useful function that will give us just a sequence of values that we can then use. Often, it's really common that it's used in one of these loops. And here, and just to say, you don't have to use the counter. Here I've used the x, it can be whatever you like. It's just a value. Sometimes it's used in the loop, like here. So here we want to print the value out, so here we're using x. But in the previous example, the number of stars, I called it counter, but it didn't have to be. I'm just printing out. I wasn't using it. If we go back to that stars example, let me show you that. The counter is never used, even though it's giving us these values 0, 1, 2, 3. We're never using it, other than as the value that this time around the loop. Okay, I'm going to stop there and then we'll look at a while loop version.